You know, it's kind of hard to believe that in a span of just under 120 years, mankind has learned to fly an airplane, put a man on the moon, and launch probes into the farthest reaches of outer space. And that doesn't even include the internet, smartphones, and cars that have kind of learned to drive themselves. So, being the history geek that I am, I decided that this morning I was going to go visit the Wright Brothers Memorial in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. And what better way to go than by air? Before long, I was airborne, crossing over Skyline Drive and the eastern edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Overall, it was a smooth trip, and after 2 hours of very helpful tailwinds, I landed at First Flight Airstrip, adjacent to the memorial. The memorial is a granite monument that sits atop Kill Devil Hill and was dedicated on November 14, 1932. The Wright brothers once said that they came here for wind and sand, and they got their wish. Representing a marine beacon on top of the hill, the memorial is one of the most popular areas of the park, offering great views, including other aircraft that fly by, tipping their hat and wings to the fathers of aviation before making their way over the actual location of those 12 seconds that changed the world. So as we walk towards where the memorial is, the one thing that you notice when you come here is that the wind is relentless. And we're walking along the track here that the Wright brothers would have used to actually launch their craft. On the 17th December 1903, now way down there is the marker for the last and longest flight. I didn't want to walk way down there. But there are these stones that basically tell you the story as you walk along the path. This is the end of the third flight. 15 seconds, 200 feet. The pilot was Orville. As we get up a little bit further, we come to where the second flight came to an end. Marked out here, 12 seconds, 175 feet. Pilot, Wilbur. Now this is all in one day, by the way. So they're dedicated to actually getting the flyer off the ground, back to wherever the start point was, and then to do it all over again.
Hi.
Hello there. So here, the first position. This was momentous right here. The end of the first flight, 12 seconds, 120 feet, Orville pilots the aircraft. That's all the further that it comes. So you can see where the stones are right behind me as you walk along this path, which leads you to the start point, the place where the 1903 Wright Flyer left the ground. Orville Wright actually preset a camera to capture the moment before boarding the craft. When it lifted off, John T. Daniels squeezed the shutter bulb and took a photograph of the event. So revered was this event in world history that fabric and wood from the original 1903 Wright Flyer traveled to the moon aboard the Apollo 11 lunar mission. But, as luck would have it, it wasn't on display today. So on the 14th of November in 1932, they had a dedication of that monument up there on that hill, Kill Devil Hill. They expected 20,000 people to attend. This entire area would have just been filled with people. But due to storms and high wind, like today, only 1,000 people showed up. But the big guy did. Orville Wright showed up for the dedication of this monument. Now fast forward to 2003 for the centennial of the flight, a much bigger affair. An aviation enthusiast by the name of John Travolta was the host of this star-studded event that was attended by President George W. Bush, astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin from the Apollo 11 mission, and aviation legend Chuck Yeager. I remember how anxious I was to solo my first time, but I cannot imagine to do so in such a primitive machine. To be pushed down a metal rail by one of my assistants. To have my wing steadied by my older brother. cheered on by other members of the team, joyous at our combined success. But in the end, all alone, up there. So if you ever find yourself in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, make sure you stop on by. It's a really cool place to visit. There are a lot of things to see. You have the monument behind me, the sculpture down there. You have the actual site where it happened. And remember, you don't have to fly an airplane to come here. You can drive, have parking lots. It's really cool. But when you do come here, just think about the simple fact that here, on this site, the efforts of two people and their team and dream came together to change the world as we know it forever.